Howdy, paper engineers in training. This is the DeLorean build. As you can see, I have worked on some of the side pieces. Now these have to be slightly curved to look right. And this is the axles. I'm going to show you how to do those right now. What you have to do is you have to cut all your axle pieces. These axles are made out of Q-tips, paper Q-tips. And these are 1/8" strips. I cut them all ahead of time so that they all match. And what you have to do is you've got to roll them up so they're like this. Anyway, this part that I'm doing right now is the is putting on the rim. So that's an interesting part of this. As you can see, I'm getting glue on everything, which I don't want to do. You definitely don't want to have it on your fingers, because if you got it on your finger, the paper will stick to your finger instead of what you want it to stick to. And so anyway, here we go. Let's see if I can get this to roll up now. And there is what it is. And now, as you can see, the glue will squeeze itself ahead as you roll it onto your finger like this. You can also keep it going on straight, because you can't have it slipping left and right, because then it won't look like a real rim like that looks. Okay, now we're going to turn this around and we're going to add a little bit more of this here. Elmer's glue, best stuff for paper that there is. And then I use this dental tool to, as you can see, smooth it out. It also lets you use less glue by running it ahead of itself like that. And that just goes on there like so. And then you just run it ahead of itself again. Now, what I am creating here is I am creating the rim for this tire. Yeah, okay, now we've got that on there just like that. You wipe all the excess glue off there, and you make sure this stays on. And that is how you start your rims. Now, as you can see, I've already painted this one. Now, as you can see, this is not as thick or as wide as this one. That's because it takes two of those. It takes 12 inches to create your proper rim size. And I need to let the cat in. Thank you very much, kitty. There you go. And you don't have any food over there. Now I've got to give you some food. Oh, wow. You're interrupting my video. Yes, you are. Yeah, I know. Okay, so now she's interrupting my video. Now, what you've got is, once you've got these correct, then you can go ahead and start putting the rubber on. Now, at that point in time, this is just black construction paper is all I'm using for that. Now, it is a little bit wider than the other pieces. Okay, now, something I've noticed here. You have two different lengths of these rubber tires. All right, because you need the back ones just a little bit wider than the front ones, or taller, I should say, so that you look right. And so there is that cut. And now this one and this one needs to be the same. And so I'm going to cut this one down as well. Now, what I've got is I've got front rubber, I have rear rubber. You can see the difference in the lengths here. And that is kind of important because then it sits right. Now what you do is you have your chassis pieces. All right, now this chassis piece is right here. All right, as you can see, I've got these pieces. Now what these are is 1/4 inch heavier gauge paper, which I have right here. Now I take my chassis piece. This is what I need right here, and we mark this off just like so. And put that over there and mark this off just like this. All right, now what I've got is, now I've got my 2 lengths, one left and one right side. And what these are what are going to hold your axles in place. And so we take this over here, and first off, I want to make sure that they are matching. And we put a little mark on here like so. And what this does is, this lets me know where I have to do this. Alright, now we take this hole punch, and you can use anything to make this, but these hole punches come in really, really handy for this. And I don't remember what I paid for this. It wasn't a lot. But what you've got now is you've got a retainer that will hold your axles in place. And so this is what you come up with when you're done doing that. And this is your tutorial part of this build that will help you understand how you have to do this stuff. Because it's easy enough to build out of paper, but it is not easy to get it to look right. All right, now to get your symmetry right, you have to practice a lot. Now this is the prototype DeLorean right here that I'm just about finished with. I noticed that the edges didn't look right. That's why I started curving this ahead of time and bending it slightly, because it needs to look more like a real car. Now the prototype ones, of course, those don't matter. You just get your rough build with a prototype. And then you do a better job on your next one. I always build at least 3 or 4 pieces. Mostly I like to do 5 at a time, because doing 5 at a time, what it gives you is you get your mistakes corrected, and that then will be put on here like so. And there is the start of this. And you have to adjust things. All right, this is too narrow in here. Okay, and so what it means is I have to trim off a little bit of this edge piece. That's the thing about when you're scratch building stuff. You have to adjust as you go along, because it's not a model kit. All right, you don't have the luxury of having perfectly fit pieces. You've got to adjust every one of your builds. It just is, it is something that you have to do, because you're building from, you're not building from a kit. You're building from your head, basically. And so that is there. Now it fits. Those fit in there just right. You're going to get variances. All right, this back one is still too tight. Okay, so that means I need to adjust it slightly, but I'm not going to do that just yet. Alrighty, let's see, where am I at now? Let's go to here. I have my template. All right, this is my template piece right here to this DeLorean of how I figured out I needed to do these. And this is the template window for this side, and then you flip it over and it can be that side there. Now, something I also have right here is I have this little hole punch. Now, what this little hole punch does is this gives me the rough dimensions to the front and the back wheel wells. All right, and this is not the correct size of punch for this, so I just have to beaver it out like that and like so. Now, once you get that done, then you have to take your round sander and you have to clean those edges up. Once you clean those edges up, now I make all my sanding blocks. This was just a dowel, and I glued the sandpaper onto it. Now, this sandpaper happens to be, I think 600, it's 400 or 600 grit. And I clean this up to make this look proper, because you can't have little ridges in it when you're working on your build. It has to be finished so that it looks right. And there we go. I hope I'm doing this right. Doggone it. You might have missed all that. Anyway, I'm working with new camera angles because I haven't got a studio set up right for all this yet. But anyway, those go on there just like so. Now it needs to a little bit more off the top of here, like so, because the wheels have to spin freely, because it's made out of paper, and it doesn't take much drag, and your paper wheels and tires won't turn. And so now we put that on there and we check it. All right, that's actually not too bad. Okay. If you like to build stuff, this is just absolutely perfect, because number one, it's recycled paper, and if you mess something up, it's easy to fix. You just make a new piece. Now let's see how this one looks. Okay, that one looks pretty good too. Oh, got it on backwards. Yeah, this is the back tire is a little bit bigger than the front tire. Okay, and so this is how you have to do this. It isn't. It's different. All right, it's one of those kind of things that this is probably. It's fun because you're helping the environment and you're working with paper. So if you goof it up, it's really easy to do. You just make a new piece. Now that actually looks pretty good. Still a little stiff, but I think it's because the axle is stiff itself. Now I'm going to have to look at this video when it's all done and see if I've got this even close to being where you can see what I'm doing, because I can't see the camera at all the way it's sitting. And I'm hoping I got this right. Anyway, I have to practice with doing this correctly. Okay, how's that looking? Okay, that's not bad. That's actually not bad at all. Now, something you have to do too is you have to be able to cut these things correctly. All right, so this is where an X-Acto knife comes in handy, because you can't cut these out without one. And you have to be kind of careful cutting this, because if you slip, you've ruined this part. And these take a little bit of effort to do. and you don't want to ruin them if at all possible. Okay, so we're going to go here and bring this right up to there. And I usually do 3 lines and then turn it around and go back down over it. Because the thing is, it doesn't want to cut at first. At least not to where it's cut properly. Okay, alrighty. And I always try to use, like my narrow piece here, I cut away from that so I don't slip and slice a hole through it. Because if you slip down here, you can pretty much fix it. And now we're going to go over here just like that. And now we see how well this come out of there. There we go. Yeah. And so that started to move upward. That's something that you have to be very careful with because your symmetry is very important on these window pieces. Okay, now let's see here. Get that to work over there and get this to work over here. Okay, wanted to go downhill from that. Shouldn't have went uphill. But anyway, here we go. Okay, there it is. And you have to be very careful with this stuff because you're working with paper and it can slip real easy with an X-Acto knife and it will ruin what you're doing. And so you don't want to do that if at all possible. Now, there is your left and your right side. Just like that. You can see, so, left and right. And there is the start of your DeLorean. Now, to get this curved right, I just flex the paper a little tiny bit with my thumbs. And there is that. That curves it just a tiny bit. Now, I already have this black for the windows. And this is what happens is you got to put this on here, and that is how that looks. But before I can put those on, I have to paint this because it's too difficult to paint these little pieces and not get it on your windows. And so this all has to get painted first before I can do anything with any of this. Now let me see, where am I at? Oh yeah, I was showing you how to do this. Now, what I've got to do, take that off of there. And I am going to, I think this is the front wheel. I got to check it with this. Yeah, that I think is the front wheel. Yep, it is. Okay, so that means I need the shorter pieces. And let's see, do those. All right, so this is the shorter one right here. That means I need to match this piece up with this one. Wow, is that okay? Yep. Yeah. Alright, so now we're going to put on this is black construction paper. And as it turns out, black construction paper makes fantastic rubber for your wheels. Now, this is wider than the other one. That's because your tire needs to look like a tire on a rim. And because of the way this builds, you have to build your tires correctly right from the start. And that getting it started is the hardest part, because it has to go on straight. Otherwise, it tends to, what they call, it walks off of what you want. Oh, man. And there is how you have to get it started. That's the hardest part about this, is getting this started correctly. Otherwise, it will it will not look right. And you have to be careful not to stretch the paper, because if you stretch the paper, it'll put lumps and bumps in it, ripples, and it shows. Now I pushed that under there just a little tiny bit and then come this way with it. Now, construction paper absorbs glue better than regular paper does, because it is thicker than lined paper or printer paper. Ta-da! And that is a completed wheel and tire. Now, I've used my thumbnail on the back of it to make sure it's pushed outward where it's supposed to be, because it has to look correct on the rim. And so by pushing it on my thumbnail like that, it moves it outward so that you have a good looking rim. And as you can see, I've already painted these. All right, those are the green ones. Those are the blue ones. Because all 5 DeLoreans are going to have different hubcaps on them. And so anyway, that is the next part of the build. This is actually build tutorial number 3. And stay tuned, everyone. I will continue to update this. Salute. Have a great day, Paper Army.